Hi guys, welcome to Law Modules Made Simple and Comprehensive. I am Negrikosa. It's exam time. We are all panicking, we are all stressed out, but I believe that we are studying very, very hard because we just have to make sure that we pass. And I wish a very, very, very good luck to all of you with your exams. And today I want us to look at CMY 1502 revision. I have prepared the 2019, 2018 both papers, May, June, and October, November, and also 2020. Yeah, I don't know about the time, but if time allows us, I'm going to do all of them because I have just prepared them. So, without any waste of time, let's just get on with it. But I don't think it will be wise for me to read the question, say out the answer, and go back to the study guide and show you where I got the answer, because that is going to consume us, because we have like five exams to answer today. So I don't know if we're going to cope, but I think the best way is for me to read the question, say out the answer, and see out the page number. Then you are going to check it on your own. I think that is going to work best for us because we have to look at the time. So without any waste of time, let us look at I don't know which one is this, but I think it'll be 20. Man, I just want to open. Okay, let me open this one. Okay, yeah, 2020 May June, CMY 1502. Okay. I'm looking for the first question. I just don't want to pause it. Okay. Victimization refers to the violation of a person's human rights as well as a disturbance of their. The answer is 2, which is safety. It is on page 6 of our study guide. Okay, I just wanted to quickly show you something, but it's okay. Second question, child abuse can lead to the dissolution of. The answer is 4, which is intimate relationships. That is found on page 12 of our study guide. Next question, which is the third question. Okay. Sigel notes that the elderly are more susceptible to fraud and scams because the answer is 3. No. The answer is 2, which is have insurance and money. That is found on page 19 of our study guide. Question 4. Binocrates believes one of the best predictors of youth abuse and neglect is. The answer is 3, which is poverty. That is found on page 50 of our study guide. Question 5. What makes the urban environment more susceptible to criminal activities? The answer is 2, which is insufficient structural planning of cities. That is found on page 21 of our study guide. Next question, which is question 6. Okay, what am I doing? Okay. The injured person or institution perceives the injury as far as unfair and unwarranted. They feel victimized. Which stage of Viano's definition of victimization is referred to in this aspect? Sorry. Okay, the answer is 2, which is found on page 8 of our study guide, which is stage 2. Okay, question 7. Which assumption relates to the characteristics of repeat victimization? The answer is 3, which is prior victimization can predict future victimization. That is found on page 22 of our study guide. Next question. For many years, the victim was neglected by, the answer is 4, which is the criminal justice system and society. That is found on page 72 of our study guide. Next question. Why can abusive parents not be classified in terms of age, gender, and educational level? The answer is 2. They come from all spheres of life. That is found on page 48 of our study guide. Okay. Question 10. Which specific victim support model does a state compensation scheme represent? The answer is 2, which is care model. That is found on page 77 of our study guide. Question 11. Children are not only exposed to violence, but they are also, the answer is 1, which is forced to witness acts of violence. That is found on page 49 of our study guide. Question 12. According to the Canadian Resource Center for Victims of Crime, victims have 4 psychological reactions to crime. Which one of the following options refers to the victim's first psychological reaction to crime? 12. The answer is 3, which is this reaction involves emotions such as shock, fear, anger, helplessness, disbelief, and guilt. This is found on page 11 of our study guide. Okay, next question. Which poor socioeconomic conditions contribute to diseases that street children can die from? The answer is 1. Overpopulation and lack of proper nutrition. I found that on page 50 of our study guide. 14. Peacock and Rosenblatt, yes, speak of street children as, the answer is 4, community children. That is found on page 50 of our study guide. Yes. Okay. 15. Research regarding the commission of violent crime by women is bleak because, the answer is 3. 50% of all women will most likely fall victim to violent crime. I found the answer on page 54 of our study guide. 16. Which kind of crime prevention focuses on the early identification of potential law violators and simultaneous intervention before a crime is committed? 16. The answer is 2, which is secondary crime prevention, which is found on page 105 of our study guide. 17. Which myths can contribute to the reluctance of some police officials to act on a domestic violence charge? The answer is 1. Okay, which is A, B, and C, which reads as A. The victim is getting back at his or at her or his husband. B. A protection order against emotional abuse is uncalled for. C. Sexual violence is not common in marriage. Do not forget that these are myths, guys. these are not the actual facts, but they are myths. So we're not looking at the correct answer here. Okay, I don't know what to say, but yes, just check the definition of myth so you know what I'm talking about, so you can understand why I got this answer. Okay, I was trying to say we're not looking at the actual facts or the real facts. We were looking at the myths. Yes, yeah, just check that out and find out what myths are so you can know why I chose that answer. Okay, 18. The flag explanation of repeat victimization is based on the vulnerability and of the victim. The answer is 2, which is attractiveness. That is found on page 22 of our study guide. Okay, 19. What is the biggest challenge for victim support in South Africa? The answer is 4, which is insufficient coordination between existing service networks. That is found on page 67 of our study guide. 20. Poor people are most likely to suffer, while rich people are mostly victims of. So the answer here is 1. Violent crime and personal theft. Okay, I'll read that again so that it makes sense. Poor people are most likely to suffer violent crime, while rich people are most victims of personal theft. Yes. 21. The pain caused by the violation of crime forces victims to. The answer is 1. Question themselves. That is found on page 69 of our study guide. 22. Victim precipitation assumes that the victim's behavior can explain. The answer is 4. The criminal's actions. That is found on page 34 of our study guide. Okay. 23. Central to the victim empowerment policy is the answer is 1. The South African Charter of Victims' Rights. That is found on page 68 of our study guide. 24. Which type of child abuse is the most prominent in the family cycle? Okay, the answer is 1. Sexual abuse. That is found on page 48 of our study guide. 25. The word comfort is directly linked to care centers for victims and awakens feelings of. The answer is 1 again. Belonging. That is found on page 80 of our study guide. 26. The willingness of people in the community to act if they see a crime in progress refers to. The answer is 2, which is informal social control. That is found on page 67 of our study guide. 27. Finkel's study found that the female sex offenders. Finkel's study found that female sex offenders choose specific victims. The answer is 3, which is mostly female victims and sometimes victims from both genders. This is found on page 48 of our study guide. You can also check this out on your own. Yes, on the study guide, guys, just to confirm, because I'm giving you the reference so that you can also be sure of what I am saying to you, because I think I am sure of what I'm saying. Okay, 28. Crime prevention models and programs are normally based on, the answer is 2, is 28. The answer is 2, which is found on page 94. Specific theories and factors that can lead to crime. 29. Why has sexual harassment received increased attention in recent years? The answer is 2, which is found on page 26, which is more women enter the workplace. 30. Tertiary crime prevention mainly focuses on, the answer is 3, the criminal justice system, which is found on page 106 of our study guide. 31. Sheldon Hayes estimates that there are about 40,000 child prostitutes in South Africa. That is found on page 52 of our study guide. The answer is 4, which is 40,000 child prostitutes in South Africa. This is sad, guys. It is very, very sad. 32. What is the advantage of involving the community in crime prevention efforts? The answer is 4, which is potential victims become involved in crime prevention. This is found on page 99 of our study guide. 33. In comparison to past statistics, the rate of victimization of Black people is on a drastic increase. What am I saying? 33. In comparison to past statistics, the rate of victimization of Black people is on a drastic and as such, the racial victimization gap is Okay, the answer is 4, which is decrease and narrowing. In comparison to past statistics, the rate of victimization of Black people is on a drastic decrease, and as such, the racial victimization gap is narrowing. Yes, that's how our answer is supposed to be. 34. The National Crime Prevention Strategy was introduced in 1996 to, the answer is 1, eradicate the unacceptable levels of crime. This is found on page 114 of our study guide. 35. Which theory attempts to explain and provide an understanding of intimate violence? The answer is 3, which is learned helplessness. This is found on page 55 of our study guide. 36. The problem of human trafficking is compounded by the absence of, the answer is 3, which is an official database. This is found on page 119 of our study guide. I don't know if that is what, an article from a news. I don't remember if it's an article from a newspaper or a case study or something, but it's found there in that article, like, 37. Which two characteristics contribute to the vulnerability of tourists according to Sheldon Hayes? The answer is 2, being conspicuous and predictable. This is found on page 37 of our study guide. Okay. 38. What is the impact of incarceration of offenders? The answer is 4. They become powerless. This is found on page 132 of our study guide. 39. When Ruth reported a case of rape at the police station, she was told by one of the police officers that she was raped because she wore a miniskirt. The police officer's insensitive and harsh treatment towards Ruth refers to. The answer is 4, which is secondary victimization. 40. Positivist victimology places the blame on the answer is 2, which is the offender. This is found on page 7 of our study guide. 41. Which one of the following options is a practical example of victim support? The answer is 3, which is accompanying the victim to court. This is found on page 72 of our study guide. 42. Which of the following options are examples of appropriate services to crime victims in the criminal justice system? The answer is 4, which is B, C, and D. Okay, we're going to read B. Advice on preventive measures. C. Referral to support agencies. D. The right to be notified of the outcome of the investigation. This is found on page 78 of our study guide. 43. Radical victimology emphasizes that victim rights should not lessen the rights of the answer is 2, which is found on page 7 of our study guide, which is suspect. Radical victimology emphasizes that victim rights should not lessen the rights of the suspect. 44. Which crime prevention model accentuates that crime may be prevented if potential offenders are made aware of the high risk of being caught in specific neighborhoods? The answer is 2, which is community-based. This is found on page 103 of the study guide. 45. Identify the factor that is essential to the success of an initial offense. The answer is 2. 44. Yes. Aibo. Guys. Oh, 45. Yes, 45. The answer is 2, which is the skills of the offender. This is found on page 20. Yes, this is found on page 22 of our study guide. 47. A person who has sex with a child is referred to as the sex offender and the child as the answer is 1, non-consenting victim. This is found on page 47 of our study guide. 48. Which of the reasons mentioned below contribute to the ineffective rehabilitation of prisoners in South Africa? The answer is 48. The answer is 2, which is A, B, and D. A. The violent prison culture. B. The long-term and life sentence offenders. D. Overcrowding. 49. Sexual offense statistics are too general and incorrect conclusions are drawn due to. The answer is 3, which is a lack of detail in the records. This is found on page 49 of our study guide. The last question of our May-June 2020 CMY 1502 question paper is: Identify one reason that can contribute to the likelihood of young people becoming victims of crime. The question, the answer is 3, which is young people are more receptive to promises, great bargains, and wonderful opportunities. I found this on page 19 of our study guide. Okay, guys, do not forget this was the May-June 2020 question paper. Now we are going to jump to the next question paper. Okay, guys, let us now proceed to our next question paper, which is the October-November 2018 CMY 1502 question paper. Question 1. Which objective of punishment is often associated with lex talionis, the principle of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth? Okay, this is a bit confusing because when I checked on the previous tutorial letter 201, or maybe I can say the memorandum of assignments, I don't remember the question paper. Yes, yeah, I can say that. I found 2 different answers. So, the answer here is on page 98 of our study guide. But on the first question paper that I saw, on the first assignment that I saw, the answer was 4, which is deterrence. And on the second one, the answer was 3, which is retribution. So I don't know which is which. Just go to page 98 and see it for yourselves, guys. You are going to check it out on your own. I think the memos were written by 2 different lecturers, so I don't know what's causing confusion to them, because I don't know. Yes, but I myself, I go with the deterrence, because when I read on our study guide, I understand that the answer is supposed to be 4, but I don't know. This is on page 98 of our study guide. Just go there and check it out. Okay, second question. The Service Charter for Victims of Crime in South Africa was adopted to, the answer is 2, eliminate secondary victimization of victims by the criminal justice process. This is found on page 75 of our study guide. 75 and 76 of our study guide, okay? 3. Which of the following is a comprehensive definition of a crime victim? The answer is 4. This is found on page 6 of our study guide. A person who has been physically or financially injured or had property taken or damaged during a criminal act. Question 4. Choose the option that best okay. Choose the option that best describes the mission of the Victim Empowerment Program. The verb, what am I saying now? Okay, question 4. The answer is 2. The verb ensures an integrated, holistic approach and coordinated service delivery to victims of crime in an enabling environment. 4 is found on page 74 of our study guide. Okay, next question. 5. Identify the three factors that contribute to the ultimate goal of rehabilitating a convicted offender. The answer is 3, which is found on page 134, which is treatment, education, and training. 6. According to Binocrates, one of the best predictors of youth abuse and neglect is. The answer is 3, poverty. This is found on page 50 of our study guide. Question 7. The Constitution of South Africa is very specific when stipulating the age of a child. A child is, the answer is 2, younger than 18 years. This is found on page 47 of our study guide. Second question. Social crime prevention will be achieved through the following avenues. The answer is 4, which is found on page 107. Strategic designing, education, and promoting social cohesion. 9. Various factors can contribute to repeated incidents of victimization. The answer is 4, which is found on page 21. Personal characteristics, social situations, physical location, or relationship with the offender. 10. Victim empowerment implies that people can manage and control their own lives. This approach concentrates on, the answer is 3, rendering access to a range of services. This is found on page 73 of our study guide. 11. Research by this style indicates that victims of abuse, the answer is 2, do not have specific personality traits conducive to domestic violence. The answer is on page 55. 12. Indicate which important component was left out of crime prevention throughout the years. The answer is 2, which is the community. This is found on page 99 of our study guide. 13. Women with higher qualifications are often sexually harassed because. The answer is 1. These women are exposed to men in managerial positions. This is found on page 56 of our study guide. 14. Misinformation with regards to human trafficking includes unreported significant elements such as. The answer is 3. Manipulation, trauma, deceit, fraud, and grooming. This is found on page 119 of our study guide. 15. Which of the following descriptions refers to restitution? The answer is 2. The perpetrator should make a monetary payment or render services to the victim. That is found on page 138 of our study guide. 16. Why are tourists easy targets? The answer is 3. They visit dangerous areas. This is found on page 37 of our study guide. 17. Trauma refers to a mental condition caused by. The answer is 4. Severe shock. This is found on page 68 of our study guide. 18. Tertiary crime prevention revolves around. The answer is 2. Reducing or preventing reoffending. This is found on page 106 of our study guide. 19. Are chosen by female sex offenders as victims. The answer is 1. A sibling, relative, step-sibling, or foster sibling, or a cousin. Okay. 19. This is found on page 48 of our study guide. On this one, guys, please just go to page 48 of your study guide and see for yourself, because wow. All I can say is wow. I really don't know. Just go there and see for yourself. Okay. 20. Peacock and Rosenblatt refer to street children as community children. Okay. 20 ne? Yes, there are community children, which is number 3. This is found on page 50 of our study guide. 21. The idea that the victim's behavior might have been the spark of or the provocation that ignited the subsequent offense fits the definition of. The answer is 2, which is found on page 34 of our study guide, which is victim precipitation. 22. Okay. Identify the 3 main elements involved when a criminal event takes place. The answer is 1, which is A, B, and C. A, the criminal. B, the victim. C, the criminal act. The answer is 1, A, B, and C. Yes. This is found on page 3 of our study guide. 23. Conservative victimology is also known as. The answer is 3, right realism. This is found on page 7 of our study guide. 24. According to the Canadian Resource Centre for Victims of Crime, victims display 4 psychological reactions to crime. Which option below refers to the victim's 3rd psychological reaction to crime? 24. The answer is 4. This reaction involves the victim's attempt to come to terms with and accept the fact that he or she has been victimized. This is found on page 12 of our study guide. 25. Which option below is not a criminal activity, but elderly persons are likely to become victims of? The answer is 4, which is assault. The page number is 19 on our study guide. 26. Dasich defines victimology, or Dasich, I don't even know, defines victimology as an academic and discipline that focuses on studying data and which describes the relationship of victimization. Okay, 26, the answer is 3, which is scientific and cause effect. Okay, this is found on page 6 of our study guide. Dasich defines victimology as an academic, scientific, and cause-effect discipline that focuses on studying data and which describes the relationship of victimization. Guys, I don't know if it's me, but I think the 2020 question paper was taken from this 2018 October November question paper, because most of the questions here are very, very much similar, you know. So it's better if we make sure that we we do revision on in all the question papers, even the question papers that I won't be able to to tackle here with you. Just make sure that you tackle them on your own, because this is a repetition of the 2018 October November question paper, which was written on the May June examinations 2020. So most it is I don't know if it's not obvious, or I don't know, predictable. I think our question paper as well, the October November 2020 question paper, is also going to be a repetition of one of the previous question papers if we are lucky. So I just hope and believe that we are going to be lucky, and we will have done our preparation, revision, everything. Guys, we just have to do whatever we can so that we can be able to pass. Okay, 27 is defined as sexual activities between individuals who are closely related by kinship. The answer is 1, which is incest. This is found on page 48 of our study guide. 28. The presence of certain factors expose some individuals to a greater possibility of being victimized. This accept relates to the definition of 28. The answer is 3, which is found on page 33 of our study guide. 3 of our study guide. Vulnerability. 29. Precipitating factors are factors that an offender to commit crime. The answer is 1, which is encourages. This is found on page 34 of our study guide. 30. The ease with which the offender can attain the target without much effort involves. The answer is 1. The suitability of the target, physical visibility, and accessibility. Okay, I was laughing at myself yesterday when I was busy with this, because I came across this question in a few question papers. So I just told myself that I'm going to choose the answer which has all the abilities. Ability. I'm just going to look at the ability when I come across this question. This is how I have crammed it. I'm just going to go for the ability, suitability, visibility, and accessibility. That is the correct answer. 31. During which specific phase of the cycle of violence against women does the abuser plead for forgiveness and undertake to turn away from violence? The answer is 4. Honeymoon. This is found on page 56 of our study guide. 32. Choose the incorrect option according to Dalport. Abuse of the elderly refers to intentionally withholding. The answer is 3. Emotional support. This is found on is 32. This is found on page 60 of our study guide. 33. Being exposes the practitioner of this occupation to a higher risk of victimization. Okay, 33. The answer is 2. Being a police officer exposes the practitioner of this occupation to a higher risk of victimization. Okay, this is found on page 38 of our study guide. 34. Child sexual abuse is the involvement of a child in sexual activity that the child does not fully and is unable to does not fully and is unable to give informed to. Yes. Okay. 34, the answer is 3. Child sexual abuse is the involvement of a child in sexual activity that the child does not fully comprehend and is unable to give informed consent to. Yes. 34, 34 is found on page 47. The answer is 3. Okay, 35. The failure by parents to or get caregivers to provide children with basic necessities falls into the category of, the answer is 3, which is neglect. This is found on page 48 as well. Okay, which option below is not a contributing factor to children choosing a life on the streets? 36. The answer is 1. A lack of parental education. This is found on page 50. 37. At the level of crime prevention, the focus is on the elimination of crime opportunities that may originate in the physical environment. The answer is 1. Primary. At the primary level of crime prevention, the focus is on the elimination of crime opportunities that may originate in the physical environment. This is found on page 105 of our study guide. Okay. 38. In comparison to past statistics, the rate of black victimization is on a drastic and as such, the racial victimization gap is The answer is 4, decrease and narrowing. This is found on page 20 of our study guide. I'm not going to go through this because this is a repetition. 39. Victims are stigmatized by many people for this reason, they prefer the term survivor to the term victim. The answer is 1. 39 is on page 71. 40. In order to prevent recidivism among youth offenders, the Department of Correctional Services provides that focuses on education, human development and training. The answer is 3, which is rehabilitation. This is found on page 134 of our study guide. 41. Which theory explains that victimization is the result of direct victim-offender contact in conjunction with the co-presence of time and space, a motivated offender, a suitable target, and the absence of a capable guardian? 41. The answer is 2. Routine activity. This is found on page 68 of our study guide. 42. Empathetic, person-centered assistance that is rendered by an organization or individual after an incident of victimization refers to victim support. This is found on page 68 of our study guide. Yes. 43. Sigel explains that age, gender, and lifestyle influence the association between victimization and marital status because the answer is 2, which is A, C, and D. A. Widows and widowers are less prone to victimization because they are older, interact with older people, and are more likely to stay home at night and avoid public places. C. Young people who are too young to get married reflect the highest victimization risk. D. Young single people visit public places such as clubs more often than adults and elderly people. This exposes them to interaction with high-risk peers and increases their exposure to violence. 43, the answer is 2, is found on page 20. 44. Which crime is not considered by victimologists as a victim-precipitated crime? The answer is 4. Fraud. This is found on page 33 of our study guide. 45. Which elements can explain the difference between urban and rural victimization? The answer is 2. The degree of anonymity and weaker social bonding of inhabitants. This is found on page 21 of our study guide. 46. According to Sejo, the risk of being victimized decreases drastically after the age of. The answer is 2, which is 25. 46. The answer is 2, which is 25. This is found on page 19 of our study guide. 47. The flag explanation of repeat victimization relates to the vulnerability and of the victim. 47. The answer is 1, which is attractiveness. This is found on page 22 of our study guide. 48. Victims whose lives could expose them to danger are referred to as. The answer is 2. Medium risk victims. This is found on page 33 of our study guide. 49. Which theory attempts to explain and provide an understanding of intimate violence? The answer is 3, which is learned helplessness. This is found on page 55 of our study guide. The last question. Who are subjected to the lowest rates of criminal victimization? The answer is 4, the elderly. This is found on page 19 of our study guide. Okay, guys, this is the end of our CMY 1502 October-November 2018 question paper. I chose this question paper because I wanted to show you, or I wanted you to notice and realize that it is important to not only study the study guide alone, but to also tackle the previous question papers, because if you look at this 2018 question paper, you are going to notice that many questions are a repetition in the 2020 May-June examination, and also the questions that we answered that we had on our first assignment and second assignment of second semester 2020. So it is very, very important to tackle previous question papers. On the next video, I am going to do 2019 May and June, and 2018 May and June as well. Okay, and guys, if you are new here, please subscribe, and if you are a regular, welcome and good luck to all of you.